Hello everyone, welcome to The Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Russia has a very strong history of fantastic writers, and I've done a few reviews of some of those writers, but I consider three of the really truly great Russian writers in history to be Leo Tolstoy, Anton Chekhov, and Fyodor Dostoevsky, and that's who I'm going to do my discussion about today. Are the books I've read by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I'm having a difficult time pronouncing any of those names. But Dostoevsky was a Russian novelist and short story writer, and he actually is considered one of the greatest writers in world history, or world literature in history. He wrote a lot about the troubled times of 19th century Russia, and a lot of his books explored philosophical and religious themes. Dostoevsky himself had been arrested for being part of a literary group that opposed or was critical to the Tsarist regime, and he actually spent 4 years in a Siberian prison for that, and a lot of that influenced his later writing career. So with that, I'll show you the books I've read by Dostoevsky and say something about him. The earliest book I have was published in 1861, and this is The House of the Dead. And this is a fictional story based on Dostoevsky's experience as a prisoner in a Siberian prison camp. It reads much like an autobiography, and a lot of the book is told through anecdotal stories of individuals or incidences that occurred, and they seem to be based on actual facts. But although it's I thought written in the late 1800s, it really sounded a lot like Stalinist era Gulag stories. The next book I have is two novellas. This was published in 1864, but the first novella is Notes from the Underground, one of his more famous novellas. And this one is written, the novella is written in two parts. The first part is titled Underground, and it's just really a very philosophical story told by an unnamed narrator. But the narrator is a very bitter man who's unhappy with his life. The second part of the novella is titled Apropos of the Wet Snow, and in this part we learn more about the narrator himself, and we find out that he works in an office where basically everyone hates him, and he hates everybody else. The second novella in this book is The Grand Inquisitor, and this is actually a story from the Brothers Karamazov that's told by Ivan, and it's about the return of Christ to earth. And in the story, Christ is arrested and sentenced to burn to death because his return is interfering with the work of the church. The next book I have is Crime and Punishment, published in 1866. And this is a story that follows Raskolnikov. He's a man who lives in just complete poverty, and he's decided to commit a murder and robbery to gain money. But then he has second thoughts, but then then he ends up murdering an elderly pawnbroker and her sister. Now he is then racked with guilt, and Dostoevsky in the book really put the reader into the mind of a very demented and tormented person. The next book I read is The Idiot, published in 1869, and this is about a man named Mishkin, and he's a religious fanatic who hates any variations of Christianity but his own. He lacks education and really isn't interested in increasing any of his understanding of anything. He's opposed to equality and only favors the elite because he is a part of the elite idle class. He is a prince himself. He believes himself to be a good and holy person, but really is only interested in himself. The next book is The Brothers Karamazov, published in 1880, and this is probably Dostoevsky's best known book. It's a very philosophical story that basically is about God and morality, and it's told through basically three sons of a man named Fyodor. Fyodor really neglects his sons, and he's quite an arrogant man. But anyway, the sons all have very different personalities. The oldest, Dmitri, is passionate but very impulsive, and he has an extremely poor relationship with his father, and the two of them really don't get along well at all. The next is Ivan. He's an intellectual, and he basically is atheistic. He really questions the existence of God, and it's basically based upon the suffering that children have that he can't believe a God would allow. And the third son is Alosha, and he's very religious and caring. But the story is basically about family conflict, and it ends in a criminal trial of Dmitri. And the last book I have is The Best Short Stories of Fyodor Dostoevsky, and this particular book was published in 2007. But it's a book of short stories, and one of the stories is titled White Nights, and it's about a young man who is so shy he's unable to meet girls. But then an incident occurs that enables him to speak to a girl that he's been attracted to. This leads to a rather strange short friendship that ends badly for him. And another story is The Honest Thief. And this is about a man. He's talked into renting out or letting out a small room in his house to a man named Astafi. But later a coat is stolen from the house by a different man, and who had entered the home, and Astafi chases after him but is unable to catch him. But after that, Astafi tells the homeowner a story that occurred to him about having his breeches stolen. But those are the books I've read by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Just an incredible writer. Wrote some really long books, but just exceptional books. So I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again. Thanks.